Hello. I wanted to record this little video to talk to you a little bit more about TRE, which is the other modality I provide. Um, it stands for Tension and Trauma Release Exercises. So I'm a certified TRE provider. I've been actually working with people this way since 2015 now. So let's begin a little slideshow. So yes, TRE is all about resetting the nervous system. And I always think, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could just lie down and simply allow the body to reset itself and quieten our minds to boot? And basically, this is what TRE is for most people most of the time. And it's one of the reasons why I love it so much because I think in this modern day world, don't we all just want to lie down sometimes and stop the active doing? And it's sometimes referred to as shaking meditation because it can very much help the mind go calm and simply be present with what is in our bodies. And as our innate way to shake off stress and tension and trauma, it can rewire us from trauma responses in the body, it can be so powerful and primal, and it gently reconnects us back to our bodies and to ourselves. And what is it? In a simple terms, maybe we could think of it as a way to access our innate tremor mechanism that we share with mammals. There are therapeutic tremors. So sometimes we call TRE self-induced therapeutic tremors because that's exactly what we're doing. And it helps us release, as I said, the tension, the stress, and rewire around traumatic responses in the body. And this ability is actually encoded into our DNA, as along with other animals, mammals across the planet all do shake. And it works very simply by allowing our bodies to shake, move autonomically. That's out of the control of the conscious mind. It's controlled by actually the brain stem, mainly your reptilian brain. And this helps the nervous system to stand down and find new, healthier patterns. And why do we need to do it? Well, basically, over time, humans have learnt to repress this ability to shake off stress. We'll talk about why a little bit later on. But now that means it's become more difficult for our nervous systems to maintain a balanced state. Because without allowing this autonomic reset movement, our system is much more prone to getting stuck. And I often in my client work am amazed by how quickly people can feel better by simply allowing the body to shake and move autonomically in this way. And here we've got the stress bucket model. This was created by an NHS psychiatrist and an NHS psychotherapist. We'll talk about them a little bit more later. And essentially, we've all got this bucket of stress that is our bodies. It might not all be stress, but a lot of it can be. And it's filled up by the things that stress us, the situations, the triggers, the hooks, meaning like something maybe that's personal to you that stresses you out. Um, and what do? We try and shut that taps like the relief valve. We try and shut it. We might go into attack mode or avoidance mode or trying really hard mode to shut that relief valve. But really, we need to open it and let everything start to come out in a safe way. So this is what TRE is. It's like this big way of opening that relief valve, if you like, releasing the pressure from our system. And it's a simple and effective way to empty our stress bucket, as it's what we're naturally designed to do, like the big release valve that's built into all of us. And the science behind it, we could think of it as neurobiology or neurophysiology. It's how our neurology, the brain and the nervous system is interacting with our biology. And really, that's all one thing, but we have different terms because scientists study it in separate pockets. And this is actually my eldest son's the scan taken at his 20-week scan, that would be. Um, and the reason why I'm showing it is because it's all about fetal development. We know that fetuses in the womb twitch. It's been studied. They call it myoclonic twitches. And these movements are a vital part of the developing nervous system as it begins to grow into the muscles, the organs, and the fascia of the baby's body. And what if these twitches are also vital to maintaining nervous system health? And that's what we in the TRE world would say. It's actually a vital part of our nervous system health maintenance. And over evolution, there were three main levels of the human brain evolving. And actually, that fetus in the womb, when a baby's born, the only part that's sort of fully developed is that core reptilian part of the brain, also known as your brain stem, because this is vital for controlling basic body maintenance functions like your blood pressure, your heart rate, your breathing rate, all these basic functions that the baby is born with. And as the baby continues to develop, and in fact, as we evolved into becoming mammals, we evolved the limbic brain, or mammalian brain, which is involved in emotions and creating the chemicals for our fight flight responses in the body. This is very simple terms. We now know the brain's way more complicated in terms of the systems that operate, but this is a really helpful model because we're talking about the evolution of the brain and also what is the TRE relating to? And it's relating to this reptilian brain, the brain stem. So below we've got the neocortex, the thinking rational brain that evolved later on. And all mammals would have some degree of neocortex, but human mammals have a really big one. But what happens is the TRE is mainly the shaking, talking to your brain stem. And that's a place below the thoughts, which is why for most people, most of the time, the brain just goes and shuts down very quickly, which my clients with ADHD, for example, absolutely love. Or a lot of us have overthinking minds. And that's why we call it the meditation in a way. And um, neurology has come on in leaps and bounds over the last few decades, and we can see the impact of stress and trauma in the brain. This is just a random image. This isn't specifically a brain under stress or trauma. Um, but it's just to give you an idea that the MRI scans have shown that parts of our neocortex, the rational thinking brain, decrease in activity when we're stressed. It's the older, more primitive parts, that brain stem and the mammalian brain, that are more activated. And that's why we can experience symptoms such as brain fog, where we literally can't even remember what to think about what to have for breakfast in the morning at times. And what the TRE is doing is it's sending new signals, as one of my teachers, Steve Haynes, would say, good news, back up to the brain stem. And then the other parts of the brain can adjust to that. They come back online so that it can rebalance from a fight, flight, or freeze pattern of thinking and nervous system activity into a calmer state. And it can allow for greater mental focus, clarity, and concentration, as well as other really good benefits that we'll come on to later. Just wanted to talk a little bit about what occurs in us in really simple terms during stressful events. And we go into all of this way, way more in the courses on the app, the Understanding and Befriending Your Nervous System courses. But essentially, for human mammals, what happens is the fight, flight, freeze response, the same as any other mammal that may happen under duress. And but as human mammals, we can't run from our work stressors or study stressors or fight them. So this fight flight energy, if you like, it can build up. We get primed full of adrenaline, the cortisol's releasing blood sugar, and the residue gets left behind in the body's muscles and fascia as tension. We all know it, don't we? The shoulder tension that builds up, or the lower back tension. And for animals, a fight, flight, or freeze response would generally only last for a few minutes maximum. However, many people are in this degree of nervous system hyperarousal or hypoarousal, the freeze response, for maybe days or weeks or even a lot longer. And this often never fully allows the nervous system to stand down and release the excess tension. It keeps us stuck in this feedback loop. There's tension in the body, and the nervous system is saying, no, there's still something wrong here. The danger hasn't passed. So this is really important aspect of TRE, in that we're releasing the tension so that good news can move back through the whole system, back up the spinal cord to the brainstem and the brain to say, the danger's over now, we can relax. So yeah, humans, we are repressing our built-in natural stress release mechanism. And then we get really used to holding on to that tension, and it slowly erodes at our physical, mental, and emotional well-being, and longer term can result in illness. And I'll put the actual video at the bottom of this particular video of this impala shaking off the traumatic thing that's happened. This impala's been caught by a cheetah and it's been in fight, flight, running, and then it's gone into freeze, and then it's gone into collapse. And the cheetah gets distracted. When you watch the video, you'll see. And you literally watch this impala shaking off the held tension, waking up its system, taking big breaths, and then it just trots away, really in quite a relaxed way. And you may have noticed shaking in yourself, or maybe in your pets, or when you're watching wildlife programs. Like when I take this little girl, there she is, Tiggy, she's on the mattress back there. When I take her to the vet, she shakes actually non-stop, and it's the body's way of discharging the buildup of, she wants to run away, really, and it's her body's way of discharging that buildup of tension, so that it's because otherwise it's unmanageable. It's a lot of fear in the body. Um, so when you're out and about, maybe notice any tremors in your pets, on wildlife programs, after they've a prey animal after a chase, or a predator animal. If it's built up too much adrenaline, we'll just shake it off afterwards. It's not having a fit necessarily, it's actually shaking off the excess tension. So have a look at that YouTube video. If you go onto YouTube, you just search for Impala escapes death and shakes off stress, you'll find it quite easily as well. And we are mammals. We sometimes forget that in our world of IT and very clever brains, but we are mammals, and we share the same responses, the same stress responses. However, unlike them, we have for the most part repressed the natural stress release mechanism of tremoring, shaking, moving autonomically. And yeah, as intelligent as we like to believe ourselves, these basic stress reactions are controlled by those older core parts of the brain that we share with animals, the limbic and reptilian brains. And why have we repressed this natural ability to shake off stress, tension, and trauma? Maybe it doesn't make sense. Why would we do that? Well, it's very much about social conditioning. So, for example, shaking, after World War One, shaking became very much associated with cowardice and an inability to keep fighting. The army psychiatrists identified a condition they called shell shock. And if you look at footage of World War One veterans, you can often see them shaking. And it's their nervous system trying to restore balance. But what happened was the government of the time and the army senior officers were really freaked out by this. And they were like, no, it's going to cause people to stop wanting to fight. So they said, no, it's not shell shock, it's cowardice. And they actually banned the use of the word shell shock at the time, which is quite shocking in itself. So all these poor soldiers who were genuinely in conditions of shell shock, or as we would call it now, PTSD, it wasn't validated and it became associated with cowardice. And so now what's interesting to me is when you see veterans, you don't very often see them shaking. It's really locked up inside. And that's very dangerous because that locked up fight flight energy becomes explosive. It is literally like an unexploded bomb in us, and it can get triggered by a little thing or a big thing, but often little things, a bang or something. And then it comes exploding out as maybe rage or intense fear. So it's really important that we learn to manage this in a safe way. And that's what TRE is about. It's not just about unlocking it all. And that's why I always recommend people learn with a practitioner so that you learn the safe protocol, just to let a little bit off. That's my imaginary Coca-Cola bottle, letting a little bit off at a time so that it feels safe. Otherwise, for some people in their bodies, it's just too much. So we don't want to let it all out in one go, but we do want to learn to process it. And this belief of shaking being a sign of weakness or a problem is still quite prevalent, actually. And the beneficial functioning of tremoring is generally misunderstood. And my understanding is that patients are still medicated post-surgery to repress the tremoring instead of embracing and celebrating it as the body's natural ability to shake off the stress and trauma of a surgery, for example. And you can hear this language of repression in our common phrases. Keep a stiff upper lip, get a grip. All those mugs that say keep calm and carry on. It's all illustrated as embedded cultural repression. And in the TRE world, we don't do that. We celebrate shaking as the way the body reorganizes itself and forms new neural connections. And as I said, literally from the womb onwards, where these myoclonic twitches are supporting nervous system growth. And I mentioned the stress bucket earlier, and it was Professor Douglas Turkington and Dr. Alison Brabham who created this model to help us understand what's going on in our bodies. And once that stress bucket becomes full, any additional factors that cause our bucket to overflow, and then we begin experiencing intense symptoms of overwhelm and illness. In my work, it can commonly be a bereavement, for example. It's a big extra thing for our bodies to cope with. And you can see there's all kinds of factors at play in that stress bucket. Our intrinsic personality that we've developed as a young child can be maybe based on stress. The experiences that happen, our genetics can contribute to it. And it can all be added to by work, by relationships, money issues, and effectively things fill us up, whatever they might be. And an overflowing stress bucket can lead to symptoms such as feeling overwhelmed and overly emotional, unable to concentrate if the animal brain becomes overactive, the cerebral cortex doesn't function optimally, sleep issues, very common, digestive problems, irritable bowel syndrome, and other digestive issues, anxiety, panic attacks, obsessive compulsive disorders, depression, mental health issues, physical pain, there's held tension in the body, headaches and migraines, burnout and exhaustion, mood swings. So TRE clients have reported profound improvements in overcoming all these issues and more. How was TRE created? This is Dr. David Baselli, PhD in social work. And he traveled, and he's also a physical therapist. He studied bioenergetics as well, but he was working a lot in war-torn countries, and he noticed certain reactions happening during the bomb blasts in the bomb shelters. This everybody doing this movement at the same time. And he also noticed that the adults in the bomb shelters were repressing the urges to shake. They wanted to, but they were holding on. They all talked about it afterwards because he noticed it in his body. But the little children were shaking. And the adults were saying, well, we don't want to frighten the children. We want to show that we're strong. But what he realized was that we've lost this ability to self-regulate our nervous systems in this really vital way. So he began creating TRE as this protocol to safely activate and work with our tremors and this ability to restore the balance in our mind, body, and emotions. It's unlike an animal in the wild who lets it off as it happens. We might have many, many, many layers. Some of them may come from early childhood. So we have to work with this very safe protocol. We can't just let it all out in one big go. It would be too much. It would be overwhelming. And here's Dr. Peter Levine as well, because I feel his work is also really crucial in this understanding of therapeutic tremoring. He has doctorates in both medical biophysics and psychology, and he was a stress consultant to NASA during the space shuttle era. Began studying predator-prey behavior, very interested in what's going on with this predator prey and this tremoring after stressful incidents. And he then started allowing his clients to shake when their bodies showed signs of wanting to do this. And he noticed after such a session, they would make a really big leap forward in their progress. And he concluded that this could have therapeutic benefits for people in allowing the nervous system to release the undischarged energy in an act of completion, he called it, of unresolved events. Now, he didn't go on to create TRE. He created another therapy, which is an amazing therapy. And we're going to have, it's called somatic experiencing, and there's going to be a somatic experiencing, I don't know why I'm pointing, but there's a somatic experiencing practitioner. It's going to be on the app, leading a little bit of a practice in the library of trusted practitioners, because I think it's a fantastic therapy as well. But there's something for me also really beautiful in its simplicity about TRE as a really lovely practice where we can just allow this discharge and the relaxation and learn it for ourselves. And Peter Levine wrote this incredible book. I would highly recommend it. It's nice big writing as well. You know, it's an easy read. Um, and it's really a seminal book that a lot of people have read now, and it makes sense of this process of shaking. It's called Waking the Tiger, but I personally like to think that we're befriending our inner tiger rather than just waking up this wild creature. It's related to our inner power, but none of us wants an out of control tiger rampaging in our lives. And that's why it's important to learn the full TRE protocol of safety and neural regulation so that we can titrate the dose of TRE a little bit at a time sometimes and feel really safe with how much of this stuck energy we're integrating. Because anybody can initiate shaking and do the exercises, but regulating the process is a real art. And David Baselli wrote this book, The Revolutionary Trauma Release Process. Transcend your toughest times. And again, this is another really great read. And David Baselli created TRE as we know it today, which is a no talking, physical, safe, and empowering way to access your trauma response through these simple exercises and to learn to regulate and reboot your nervous system. And my personal feeling is we all need to relearn this simple way to release stress and tension and feel better. And a little bit about what we do in TRE. So the tremors are initiated via something called the psoas muscles. You can see an image of these core, deep core postural muscles here. They're also known as the fight-flight muscles. I like to think of them as the fight-flight muscles of the lower body and these ones as the fight-flight muscles of the upper body. And we do some simple exercises. Some are stretches, some are designed to fatigue muscles, and they can all be adapted to meet individual needs. And then what you do is you relax on the mat in a certain position and allow your body to release through autonomic shaking, these self-induced therapeutic tremors. And when I'm there with you, either online or in person, checking in with everybody, especially at the first session, to make sure you feel comfortable with the process, that you're not pushing through. And I support you to facilitate this optimal safe releasing and self-regulate. It's very interesting how often people want to push through. That's the culture we live in, and how much more effective it can be with this safe protocol of regulation. What does it feel like? So your body's awakening these autonomic neurogenic tremors is another word we might use to them. So it's not controlled by your conscious mind. It's happening autonomically. And people often describe it as feeling a little bit like a massage from the inside out. And you get used to it very quickly. But at first, clients, the most common word people use when they're shaking for the first time is weird. And then, but it feels really natural, like something their body's meant to do, which it basically is. It's just we've repressed it. So I create a very mindful and safe space so you can watch your body releasing this old held material from the past. Um, Mainly we don't not aware of what the body's releasing. It's just movement that happens that helps us feel better. Mainly physical, yeah, with the occasional emotional release and very, very rarely some imagery or awareness of what the body's working with. But that's very, very, very rare. And then I also teach you how to stop the tremors and regulate your sensations so you feel in control of your process at all times. So you're sort of in control of how much you're letting go of control. Will I experience any kind of detox? You might do, you might not. But as with any healing modality, you might experience some signs of healing and reorganization. It's not a given. Many clients simply report this physical release that they feel lighter and better for. However, some people report one or more of the following things at some point in their TRE journey. So possible detox symptoms are maybe feeling more tired and needing more sleep. That I'd say is the most common one, especially after the first session. The body lets go and really goes into deep relaxation and rest and digest mode. And very, very occasionally, the opposite can happen, that energy is moving and somebody might have disturbed sleep. But what it normally manifests as is actually vivid dreams. There's processing happening in the sleep. Occasionally, and sometimes in all of our journeys, old emotions might surface for integration, maybe anxious feelings of fear, anger, or grief, or sensations from the past. Even interestingly, smells and images can arise. And sometimes we can be a bit achy, little bit of pain resurfacing for final release. These all tend to pass quite quickly, and clients start to notice they continue with the TRE process and noticing positive effects appearing. And by session 6, most clients are noticing positive changes in their lives, and many note improvements sooner than this, often radical improvements after the first session. And as the body starts to release and the nervous system rebalances, the positive benefits clients report include better sleep, less pain, improved flexibility and freedom of movement in the body, including the release from old injuries, sometimes very old injuries, improved brain function, including focus, concentration, communication, and memory, improved bowel functions, more energy, increased freedom from addictions, lighter moods and improved sociability, and greater resilience in the face of life's difficulties and ups and downs, and reduction in all the symptoms of trauma and anxiety, generally feeling calmer and less stressed. And it's cumulative, so the results keep growing as you continue with the practice. So it also really enhances the effects of other practice and therapies, such as sport, dance, Pilates. A muscle that's freer of tension has more greater range of movement. We can work it more and better with less risk of injury. Our body can become more flexible. It's easier to still into mindfulness and meditation when we're not holding tension. And massage and body work. I've been doing TRE 3 months. I went back to see my osteopath. She couldn't believe how much more easy it was to work with my body, purely from having done TRE. I think I'd done it 3 times a week in the 3 months, and it was really huge difference. So basically, all these things become easier to access as the body's holding less tension or fight, flight, freeze energy. So you become less prone to injuries as well. So TRE is this most basic and natural practice at our disposal to release stress and restore balance to our nervous system, because it's what our nervous system needs to do. It's built into us. And clients often report feeling very relaxed as the mind and body come back to balance. And I consider it as a fast track to letting go of stress and tension. Anyone can do it, no matter what their age or ability, so we can adapt it. It's really easy and safe to learn, and especially when you're professionally guided. And you don't have to have a problem either to benefit from it. Everyone can feel the positive effects of tension release. And it can really help you grow and maintain your resilience. So that if stressful things do happen, you're better equipped to cope mentally, physically, and emotionally. And it's actually so simple in a way. All we do is tremor. We discharge the built up tension in the way that animals do. It's a little bit like crying, in that it's a natural and health-giving release. And the skill comes in learning to self-regulate, to release just enough to process, to be able to process. And this is Michaela Strachan. There was an article in a magazine some years ago, and she talked about her experience of TRE. And I always say, just ignore the bit where she says in here, you can't stop, because that's actually not true, because that's one of the most important skills is learning how to stop and regulate. But what she means is the movements are autonomic. They're not controlled by the conscious mind. And she says, there's nothing wrong with counseling, and there are many different types. After my cancer treatment, I went to see a trauma counselor and did trauma therapy. She went to see a TRE practitioner. And the theory is your body holds on to the trauma. And if you see an animal that's been through stress, the first thing it does is shake the stress out of itself. But we humans have lost that ability. The therapy I did involved a series of exercises in which you work your legs and then lie on the floor with the knees bent outwards like a frog's and shakes. We call that the butterfly position. And when you shake, she says you can't stop. You can stop, but it's autonomic is what she means. And it seems to release the trauma. And it does. It's very powerful in that way. And TRE research. So you can go onto the traumaprevention.com website, David Baselli's main website, and read some of the research. There's one study of 6,000 US military personnel, all of whom had PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, all of whom had received other therapies which hadn't relieved all the symptoms. After 6 weeks of TRE 3 times a week, only 12 of that 6,000 needed any further treatment at all. So it's powerful. It's powerful. And an introduction to TRE with me I'll teach you the TRE plus all the grounding and regulating techniques and the safe protocol. And there's no need to talk about any of the issues you're working with unless you wish to. And you'll receive information and home practice materials, including an audio recording of the TRE, to support your home practice and sheets with all the exercises on. And absolutely after your introductory session, if something arises you're concerned about, you need to check in about, you have my support at no extra cost. So you can call me or email me and ask me any important questions. And you can book follow-up sessions or come to my groups afterwards. Highly recommended to keep evolving your practice. And it's fully confidential. So in any space, whether it be a group or one-to-one, everybody agrees to confidentiality. No one shares who's there, their names, or any personal information that's shared in the day. And in a nutshell, the reason why this practice is so effective is because shaking off the excess tension and nervous system energy is the built-in release valve. Nature gave it to us. All mammals need to shake to rebalance their nervous systems, and humans have repressed it. So it really is a great joy for me to support you to relearn this amazing power. It's like our built-in superpower, is the way I like to see it. And it's this vital life skill that will help you to feel healthier, happier, empower you to release stress and tension for yourself. Because some people, after just the first session, maybe more, feel confident to do it themselves to improve your well-being at a physical, emotional, and mental level. And once you've learnt it, it's yours forever. You can use it at home when you need it as part of your well-being routine. You can use it in emergency situations when something's happened that's really stressful. So here's all, maybe I don't know if it's all my information, but there's a lot of ways to contact me there. And maybe you're watching this on my app, in which case you've already potentially even got to the important other nervous system work. But what I highly recommend, and which is the reason why I created this app, was all this nervous system education, the psychoeducation, and the simple practices in the courses I've created on the app called Understanding and Befriending Your Nervous System. So if you work through those, and that's all home learning, that's really going to enhance your ability to self-regulate in daily life. And then you'll receive even more from the TRE practice or any other healing practices that you're embarking on in your life. So I hope that's helped explain a little bit more. There's more information you can look at on my website as well. And of course, the best way to learn about this practice is to do it. It's one of those things you can talk about it till the cows come home, but until you actually do it, you never will fully understand it because it's in a way beyond words. It's an incredible practice and one that I'll forever be grateful that I was introduced to in my own healing journey. It made some differences to my own system very, very quickly when I'd been struggling for a long time and had done a lot of other therapies and had no relief. And it was also so empowering. I didn't need to pay somebody every time to do it. I could do it for myself as well. So I highly recommend it. Mm. Good. So hopefully if there's any questions after that, do get in touch, or you might want to book um, a workshop or a one-to-one. Or if you're not local to me, traumaprevention.com is a global list of practitioners. You can find someone pretty much anywhere in the world. So whatever country you're in, you'll be able to find someone local to you. Because often working in person is really important, having that safe nervous system in the room with you. And if you're in the UK, trecollege.com is a more condensed list of practitioners who work in the UK. So there's my little furry assistant there. Anyway, take care, and I hope to see you at some live session soon.